I hope you're well and having a lovely day. Please could you write the date and the title? The title is Macbeth, Lesson 11, Act 4, Scene 1, The Apparitions. For your do now. These are all the things Macbeth says to the witches in Act 4, Scene 1. What do his words reveal about his character? Please could you answer this in your books? So he is giving them instructions, commands, using the imperative. This indicates his sense of power or control over them. He believes he can tell them what to do. Tell me, answer me, call them. He refuses to take no for an answer. I will be satisfied. He also seems to consider himself in some ways supernatural. I conjure you. So we therefore see a significant shift from the way he acted earlier on in the play, when he saw them as very separate from himself, and he was much more respectful towards them, whereas now he's got these a deluded sense of grandeur and a deluded sense of his own self-worth and his relevance in the supernatural world. So definitely a great shift from the beginning of the play. So the big question for today is, what do the three apparitions tell Macbeth? So in this scene, what I'd like you to do is read Act 4, Scene 1. The extract is on class charts, or you can read it in your copy of the play. In this scene, you will meet Macbeth and the Weird Sisters. The witches and Hecate cast spells, and Hecate departs as Macbeth arrives. The witches summon three apparitions to answer Macbeth's questions. The first, an armed head, warns Macbeth against Macduff. The second, a bloody child, declares that no man born of a woman can harm him. The third, a crowned child, assures him that he will not be conquered until the forest at Burnham marches to Dunsinane. Macbeth concludes that he is certain of continued success. Macbeth asks if Banquo's descendants shall ever rule Scotland. A parade of 8 kings appears, escorted by Banquo's ghost, which smilingly indicates that these are his offspring. The apparitions and witches disappear. Lennox brings news of Macduff's desertion, and Macbeth decides he will kill all of Macduff's family and followers as punishment. Please could you watch the scene summary on YouTube? Okay, so now I've got some comprehension questions for you. Please could you read through them and answer them in your book? Okay, the answers are now on the slide. Please could you check them? If you didn't get them right, please could you correct them before you move on? So I'd like you to consider the following and add this to your notes. In Shakespeare's day, historians believe that James I was descended from the real Banquo. James was the King of Scotland and England, and so there was a twofold balls, the orbs of the crown jewels, 2 showing the 2 countries, and he ruled over 3 kingdoms, Scotland, England and Ireland, treble sceptres. There are clear links between James and the kings in this scene. The 8th king represents James's ancestors. He carries the glass mirror, showing the future of many kings from the same family. This is where James fits in. Our current queen is a descendant of James I, so they end up ruling for hundreds of years. So please make sure you've added this, or at least a summary, to your notes. Next, I would like you to copy out this table into your books and complete it, explaining what the apparitions tell Macbeth and why they tell him what they do in this particular way. If you've finished, in your books explain why you think the apparitions take the form of children. How is this going to affect Macbeth? Think back to all the references to children so far in Macbeth. Pause the video to do this now. So the next slide has some of these boxes filled in. If you're a little unsure and need support, please go on to the next slide. If you want to do it yourself, you don't have to. A little bit of extra help, I filled out 3 boxes for you. So do make sure you upload your completed grid, which you should have copied out into your book, to class charts for me to review. And finally, I would like you to consider, what do the 3 apparitions tell Macbeth? Just review that in your head. And that is the end of today's lesson. Thank you very much for your hard work. I hope you found it interesting, and I shall speak to you next time.